In today's video, I am going to give you 5 basketball plays that can be ran super easily at the grades 7 and 8 level. So if you are a middle school basketball coach, this is definitely a video to check out. Let's get down and let's check out these amazing basketball plays. Okay, so this first play, we're going to have 3 players out, 2 players in the low post. We're going to start with actually our shorter players in the low post, not including our point guard, and our bigs, they're going to be out on the wings. Now, the reason why this is going to be super effective is because you could run this against a zone or a man. So I'm going to show you it against a man-to-man defense first. We're going to have players 5 and 4 set screens down. They're called pin down screens for players 3 and 2. And players 3 and 2 are going to be popping up to the wing. So far, it is super easy. If one of those players is open for a 3, obviously you could take it if you've got players who are very good 3-point shooters, which it seems like there's younger and younger players who can jack up 3s at a high percentage, then of course that is a fantastic option. However, what we are looking for here is a mismatch. So for example, we had players 4 and 2 switch on this side. If that's the case, we really want player 1 to pass that ball to player 2, and we want player 5 to clear out of the key. Now this will be different depending on if it's against a zone. However, what we want against a man is to have that isolation in the low post, big man versus small man. Let him eat. Let him get that one dribble post move to the basket. Super easy. If this guy drops in, then you can kick it out for a 3, or if player 5 is smart, he can cut back door. Now against a 2-3 zone as an example, we can then have the same players setting those screens down for those wing players, or even down to the player in the middle. It's totally up to you, whoever is going to be guarded the most. But either way, we're going to then have player 2 and 3 heading up to the wings. Now we're going to have that pass into, let's say, for example, here, the right wing. Player 5 is then going to be posting up, and of course, we would have player 4 posting up initially as well. With that pass over to player 3, that will draw up these players, in which case we would then have, instead of player 4 popping out for player 5 to be isolated down low, we would have player 4 instead go to the high post. This essentially creates an overload where we can get that ball into the high post for that mid-range shot, or this could draw up player 5 for player 4 to pass high post to low post to player 5. Now against the zone, we really don't want these players, like the point guard here, to be really stagnated. So after he makes this pass, he could even cut to the rim, he could cut out towards the corner. It's totally up to him. But against the zone, I'm going to tell you right now, that corner is extremely important, because if you get that ball into the post, whether it's the high or low post, that's going to be really collapsing that defense, in which case you can kick it out for a 3. There's so many different options that you do have in this one single play. Now this next play is going to be up against a 2-3 zone, and you could technically run this against a man-to-man as well, but it does definitely work 100% better against a zone. So if you go against a 2-3 zone a lot, which seems like everyone is running, this is going to work extremely well. So you're going to see the defense most likely shift somewhat like this. We are then going to have player 5 cut up to that high post, and we're going to have the entry pass into player 5. When that pass goes into player 5, we're going to have player 1 cut to the basket super quickly, and player 4 is going to be crossing with player 3. When this happens, we're going to be 100% looking for the pass to player 1. If player 5 follows player 1 down, player 5 could be the one who takes that mid-range shot, or with players 4 and 3 crossing, this could mess up these two defenders trying to figure out what's going on, in which case he could kick it out to player 3 for that 3-point shot too. Again, this works a heck of a lot better against a zone. Against a man, this would be slightly different and would not be as effective. However, against a man-to-man, this could still work. Again, player 5 would go up to the high post. We would have the entry pass into the high post. Players 3 and 4 would be crossing. and then we would have player 1 drive to the rim. However, instead of it being just a quick cut to the basket, you would be trying to rub shoulders with these two players so that now you can use it as a dribble handoff. When these two players switched, we would want the player who switched, instead of going to the wing, we would want him to go to the corner, and then when player 1 is driving towards the basket, if one of these two defenders on this side decided to play help defense, in which case they should, you would then have player 1 be able to kick that ball out to player 3 for the 3-point shot. This next play is pretty effective against a man-to-man as well. We would really want these wing players to be playing a bit higher than, of course, in the high 1-4 range. However, what we would have is that pass over to the wing, and when that pass happened, we would have player 5 set that screen for player 1, and at this time, player 1 can cut to the rim. If he's open, hit him up for that layup. If he's not, he can then cut back out towards that corner, and player 4 would then go down into the low post. Of course, if player 4 is open, hit him up for a pass. If not, then at that point, we would be in an overload. Against a zone, this can work extremely well, but against a man, this would not work as well. So what we would do against a man is have these guys set screens here. And of course, when this happens, we would have player 2 attacking the basket, player 5 rolling off towards the net. This could be a shot, this could be a pass, or we would have player 1 coming up to the wing, in which case 3-point shot. This works pretty well against a zone as well. Now against a zone, this especially a 2-3 zone, we can have that pass over to player 2 that would draw up player 4. We would have that screen for player 1. Of course, he may be open depending on where player 5 is playing. If he's not open, we would have player 1 fill out. Again, potentially could be open for a 3-point shot. Player 4 would then be going towards that low post. Player 5 would be going to the high post. And then, of course, depending on what is happening when it comes to the defense, we can have the overload style offense where it's just passing, high post, low post, easy. Depends on what's going on, high post shot. There's so many different options where we could even have the high post, back screen, cut. There's so many different options that you have out of an overload. However, that same play as what I just showed you will work here as well. So we can have that player 4 and 5 setting those screens. We would really want player 2 to be attacking that high post, because when player 5 rolls off, he would be then grabbing a lot of the attention here. We would have this screen for player 1, where now player 2 has the option to pass over to player 1. If player 5 wasn't covered, he could be a pass there, or he could kick it out to player 3 for the 3-point shot. This fourth play is a low 1-4, and it's going to be slightly interesting as well. So what we're going to have is, against a man, we would have player 3, and this play really only does work against a man-to-man defense. We would have player 3 setting that screen for player 1, and we would have players 4 and 5 setting up the staggered screen for player 2. Player 2 will use that staggered screen. We'll have that screen for player 1, and player 3 would roll towards the basket. This could be a pass into player 1, but why we are setting this screen is to attract all the defensive eyes here, where in reality we can just kick that ball out if player 2 is open for the 3-point shot. And that's the whole idea behind this play. It's a quick hitter that you can run at the end of the game. This last play is a zone-only play as well, and what we would have is, of course, the zone would be most likely set up like this, where we would have the pass over to player 2. Player 5 would set that screen once more on player 1. When player 1 attacks, he can read the defense, see what the defense is doing, because if he gets that ball, he could go in for the layup. If he's not open, if player 5 dropped off, then he would kick out into essentially a triangle style offense, where now the defense should be shifted somewhat like this, where we would get that ball into player 5 to try to get the ball out to this opposite side. And there's a reason for this. So depending on where player 5 passes to, it's going to be essentially the same play. We can get that ball to player 3. Player 4 sets that screen down for player 4. Player 1 will use that screen. He'll cut baseline, pop out for that three-point shot. Obviously, the defense would start shifting, but either way, that screen on player 4 will allow player 1 to get that open shot. And let's say, for example, the ball instead went from player 5 to player 4, then we would have player 3 set that screen instead, and player 1 would do the exact same thing. I hope that these 5 plays help your team win more games. If they do, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.